Education is elevation, and I just came from a very thought-provoking event that was about immigration specifically, and about how we tell stories around immigration to make, different people, specifically in social media, care about the legal climate that immigration is situated in. And there was a bunch of thought-provoking things that happened here, and has brought me to this video with y'all right now, sitting and grappling with the law being a tool of colonialism that justifies and legitimizes colonial violence and anti-Black violence, and not this neutral, objective tool that can be permuted to get everybody freedom and rights and justice. This video will definitely be grappling with how we indoctrinated to understand the law. And I'm gonna be challenging you as you listen to this to think about, is the law something that ensures social order, or is law something that disrupts social order? Asking the question, is law the tool to get us to freedom and justice? Or is the law something that is defined in opposition to fairness, freedom, and justice? Specifically centering Blackness and indigeneity. A lot of conversations around the law, it always discursively moves around the history of the law and what makes the law possible. When we talk about fascism or talk about immigration, a lot of us like to gloss over that the very concepts of fairness, of democracy, of standards is how we get to where we at right now. Donald Trump is not the president, or Donald Trump doesn't get to do all of the inhumane things he's doing without him mastering the legal system and mastering tools of democracy. A lot of us like to view what he's doing as being anti-democratic, and a lot of us like to view what he's doing as being against citizenship. And this video is going to grapple, is citizenship the goal, or is citizenship supposed to be the tool to ensure us something? I would argue that a lot of people view citizenship as the goal, and you don't recognize that citizenship is supposed to be the tool that's supposed to get us something. Tension becomes when we talk about immigration specifically, because this is all coming from me being a part of a covenant dealing with litigators and nonprofits that do work around immigration. And some of the questions that they were asking was, does the rule of law apply to immigrants? Or who gets to be an American? And for me, I found these as being violent questions because it presupposes a lot of colonial violence that makes the thing possible. I.e., when you talk about the rule of law, what does the rule of law mean for indigenous peoples that were seen as being lawless savages? Did the rule of law apply to them and their humanity? The answer is no. Even in 2026, what does the rule of law mean for indigenous sovereignty or indigenous humanities? What does the rule of law mean for the 500 plus treaties the American government has broken when it comes to their relationship with indigenous peoples in the American government? So when I think about the question, does the rule of law apply to immigrants? It's like, nah, it don't. Now, if you want to say could it or should it, that's a different question. But the answer to the question, does it? The answer is no. And as somebody that's born and raised in Texas, that live in Texas right now, when we grapple with the concept of legality and how it's being inscribed on some people's bodies, others literally say, hey, you came in here illegally, so you don't get due process of law. These are people that don't even understand the law, because what we should know is that you being an undocumented citizen is a civil offense and not a criminal offense. Let's understand the split between criminal and civil when it comes to Donald Trump losing civil cases for sexual misconduct, but they don't understand when it comes to the presence of immigrants, the presence of migrant undocumented people. And to me, this is getting into like the loss of the sauce of the law, and how individuals start to view the law as being neutral and objective, as being a tool that you can use for good or for use for bad. And you forget, no, the law is what justified colonial violence. The lawless immigrants, the savages, was justifiably taking their land because they didn't have any laws. Some people view criticisms of the law as saying, well, you saying laws is we don't need laws, so we must have anarchy. And to me, that proves how inscribed you is of white supremacy and coloniality, because you get to dictate and say that without a European authority, without this type of Western idea of institutions and government, we all would break out into chaos, anarchy. I would argue this is a baked-in response and feature that justifies colonial violence in the existence of the law, and you don't really want to grapple with what makes the law possible, what makes the law birth into existence. It's genocide and it's enslavement. There is no law in America without those two things. Or getting my phone in. When I'm getting critical with the law and I'm trying to like really get you to negotiate, unlearn, relearn, decolonize, dare I say, how you understand the law, I'm not saying the law don't matter, because for Indigenous and Black folks, we understand that we're gonna be disproportionately impacted by the law regardless of how much we think it matter or don't matter. We're gonna be impacted by it the most. So I am saying the law is inevitable. I'm also saying is that the way that you engage the law, it cannot be from a romanticized, sanitized, lens that glosses over the Black bodies and Native bodies that makes this idea of this land, your land, this land, my land possible. In this video, I'm arguing that the foundational legal doctrines is always already a framework for the colonial project. And I'm even saying that the American institution was a project. There were points in this history of American project where America was seen as being good. There's also parts of this American project that's always already been failing, especially when it comes to the question of indigeneity and in Blackness. So when we start talking about how we're gonna legally fight against Trump, or how we're gonna use concepts of the Constitution to be able to fight against fascism, or how we're gonna protect democracy and fight for democracy, to me the question is important. What has democracy meant for Black Americans or for Native Americans? What has the concept of citizenship meant? Citizenship has never stopped Black Americans from being murdered, from having the courts justify murder, from being incarcerated, from being poisoned, from being denied housing, from being denied health care. Citizenship and us being seen as legal citizens has never codified or never brought us refuge or safety. So when we have different groups that want to orient themselves and center the concept of citizenship, what you really doing? What is citizenship meant for Native Americans? The 14th Amendment didn't even apply to Native Americans. Native American citizenship don't come into the Native American Citizenship Act until like 1929, 1926, some shit like that. So even when you grapple with the concept of citizenship, you see that in America, there's two classes that's been permanent here since the beginning of the foundation of America. Black people, descendants of slaves, enslaved people, and and Native Americans, and people that are descendants of these, Native Americans. When you think about what is legal and what is illegal, who has the power to determine that, and how has that related to colonization or the colonizer and colonized? And when I'm talking about the 13th Amendment or the slave codes, I'm talking about how the law actively characterized particular actions as being against the law to justify domination and to justify enslavement. So when we talk about the exception to the 13th Amendment, United States federal government shall prohibit slavery except for punishment, conviction of law. It's not ironic that the descendants of enslaved people are most likely to find themselves convicted in law. We also see that the concept of citizenship is something that's like it can be taken away, it can be given, it can be applied in certain ways when it's applicable and when it's good for American empire, and it can be taken away when it's not good for the American empire. The notion of citizenship and having the right to press and protest and having the right to freedom of speech, those rights of citizenship didn't mean anything in Minneapolis for pretty and for good. In 2026, are Black Americans still regarded as citizens? The correct answer is obviously yes. Being a citizen guarantees you rights like voting, right? Has it made us immune from having our voting rights taken away? No. Black people being citizens, has it stopped us, our destiny and justified in the court? No. Native Americans being considered citizens since the 1920s, has it allowed for them to sustain their culture and traditions? No. Has it made it where the United States federal government abide by the treaties they've broken? No. So when you fight for citizenship in the name of mass deportation and criminalizing of immigrants, I think that is a misnomer, and it doesn't get you what you think it gets you. I think it perpetuates indigenous erasure and criminality of Blackness and makes it where the notion of citizenship is always defined in opposition to the aliens from within. As Native Americans, or Black Americans, historically, how has the law guaranteed freedom, rights, autonomy? This is what I'm saying. I'm not saying the law doesn't matter. I'm saying the way you understand and use the law matters, actually. And the way that y'all talk about the law is usually a way that glosses over the colonial violence and the anti-Black violence that makes the law possible. Slavery was the law. Japanese internment camps was the law. Literacy test, grandfather clause was the law. Being able to Black women was the law. These things was all the law. The law right now says that you can't even go after Trump if he's done any tax fraud because it is against the law. Define the phenomenon and make it act in a desired manner. The law has never been the adjudicator of ethics, morals, or what is right or what is wrong. The law has always been used as a discursive tool to justify domination of people that are descendants of Europeans. What I'm not saying, domination didn't exist until Europeans. That's not what I'm saying. But I know some of y'all will be purposely obtuse in the comment section and do that shit. What I'm saying is that the way domination happened in human history became very unique once the Europeans got a hold to the concept and started to take over the entire world. There was decorum and government and standards in many places throughout the world before Europeans engaged it. A lot of y'all believe it wasn't. A lot of y'all believe that without the colonizers understanding his values and his morals, the world would break out into chaos. You ignore how that very colonizer concept, law, value creates chaos. The law makes it where this chaos is justifiable. We can go in the name of democracy and overthrow a democratic elected official. In the name of decorum and stability and humanity, we can go and invade a country and take they, you know what I'm saying, resources. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to New York Island. This song's indoctrinated us to buy into erasures. And this video is about the f***ing law.